Hey, what is up, everybody? This is the Great Puckatini coming at you from fantasyfootballrankingszone.com. That's my new website that I've just made, and what I'm doing with it is I'm just sharing my ride, my journey through fantasy football. Like I told you in my first video last week, I've been playing fantasy football for over 5 years, fantasy sports, and I'm still playing on uh, the $10 investment I first put in. And so I'm trying to share some of that, share some of my winnings with you guys, some of my secrets. I developed a lot of these spreadsheets, and I think I have a pretty good formula and to win. But saying that, um, if you download my rankings, you can't just take it the way it is. You have to modify a little bit. I don't use those rankings as just the end all be all. I take those rankings, I plug them into a player optimizer, that gives me lineups, and then I tweak it from there. Like this last week, I'll give you an example. They tried to give me three New England Patriots. I had Tom Brady. They tried to give me Chris Hogan and Gronkowski. And that was just too much, Even though that was the best picks based off of my rankings, I didn't need three guys off that same team. So you have to take it and tweak it a little bit to what you think is really going to work. But it's a great starting point. It's kind of my secret sauce. It helps me win, and I hope you can check it out. But anyway, these are my FanDuel rankings for week number 2. And I'm just going to show you. This is just a brief snippet of my rankings. I have over a whole bunch of guys ranked, but these are my top 5 at each position, just to give you a little sneak preview of what it looks like. So this week, my QB rankings, and this is Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. I'm in Arkansas. I'm about ready to go to bed. I've been working on this for a while, but I want to get it up for you guys. If somebody's needing these rankings, hopefully you will. Thursday night, I'm really looking forward to Thursday night game between the Ravens and the Bengals. But anyway, here are my QB rankings. First up, number 1 is Drew Brees. He's the best value, and I believe he's going to have a monster game this week versus Cleveland. But you got to be careful with New Orleans this week. Who's going to blow up? Is it Brees? Is it Kamara? Is it Michael Thomas? Or is it another one of the receivers, Ted Ginn Jr.? Now, he's maybe injured, so you have to be careful. You're going to have to choose who you think's going to blow up. But I think it's really going to be a shootout there. I think Drew Brees was going to have a monster game against Cleveland. I really do. And then you can pair him with one of his receivers, and and get a whole lot of points that way. That's called stacking, stacking a wide receiver with a quarterback. And if you could hit it good this week with Drew Brees, you'll have a big payday, I think. So Drew Brees is my number 1. Then Phillip Rivers is number 2. Ben Roethlisberger is number 3. Then Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he'll have a big game this week. And then a surprise guy who really came out in my rankings as I started filling out my sheets was Case Keenum. I'm really looking for him to have a good game this week. And so that was a little bit of a surprise. But I'm really thinking he could have a good game for you if you want to put him in some of your lineups. Next up is my running backs. Once again, there you have Alvin Kamara. He's my top running back, top value running back. But you got to be careful. Kamara is going to catch probably 4 or 5 passes, which that's a good load. That's a good number of catches. So but is he going to get more carries? Is he going to catch the ball more? So you have to be careful with stacking him with Drew Brees. It may work well. It may not. You have to make that decision. But I got Alvin Kamara. I think Todd Gurley's going to have a big game this week. He's an absolute stud. I think Melvin Gordon's going to do good. I think James Conner's going to have another good week. I'm hoping Le'Veon Bell comes back because he's on my I have a fantasy team that it's one where you keep the players, and it's a keeper league. And Le'Veon Bell is one of my keepers. But anyway, either him or James Conner, I think, is really going to have a good game this week. Also for the San Francisco 49ers is Matt Breida. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I think he's going to have a big game this week, so watch out for him. Next up are my top five wide receiver projections. Number one is Jarvis Landry for Cleveland. They're playing the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints got torched by Tampa Bay last week. So I'm really looking for Jarvis Landry to have a big game. I think he's your top value wide receiver. Then I round out with Antonio Brown with Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger. Could be a good stack there. Number three is Michael Thomas. Could stack him with Drew Brees. Here's Josh Gordon, another Cleveland receiver that could really have a big game. And then for the Philadelphia Eagles is Nelson Aguilar. Really looking for him to have a big game this week. So those are my top five wide receiver projections this week. Next up is my tight end projections, my top five. Number one is the guy that had a big game Monday night for the Oakland Raiders was Jared Cook. He is the best value this week, I believe, of the tight ends. And the reason I say best value is their salary based on the points I think they're going to get. So he is the best value here. Travis Kelce, is always one you have to really be watching. Jimmy Graham, going to be with the Green Bay Packers, I believe. I'm looking for him. He could, watch out for this sucker. He could have a big game. And then a guy you might not hear much of so far is Ricky Seals-Jones. I think he's going to have a big week. And then Jordan Reed, from the Washington Redskins, who's basically a receiver, but he plays tight end. Looking for him to have a big game this week. So those are my top five. I do not have Rob Gronkowski in there, the big Gronk, and that's surprising, but I don't know how good of a week he's going to have this week. We'll have to see. He could have a good week, but I don't know if he's going to be in the top five. I think I had him maybe coming in at about 8 points or so. So anyway, it'll be a tough week for him this week, I believe. Defensive projections, looking for the Los Angeles Rams going to be my number one. Then the Los Angeles Chargers are number two. The Houston Texans, the Minnesota Vikings, and then the Seattle Seahawks are going to be my top five defenses this week that you want to be real interested in picking up. So good luck with that. Now, like I say, that's just a brief look at my picks. And what you can do is you go to my website, fantasyfootballrankingszone.com, and download these rankings. These week 2 rankings are on the front page. I'm still working on the page, trying to make it better and better. But anyway, you can go there, you can download my rankings, and then you can go somewhere like Roto Grinders, Roto QL. There's a lot of places to where you can upload lineups into, and they make lineups for you based on your rankings. And so you take my rankings and put them in Roto Grinders or wherever you do it with your lineup tool there, and you have to upload it, and I know in Roto Grinders you have 2 columns. The first column you have to have it called names, and the second column's got to be FPTS, fantasy points. So, and you have to have it just like that or they won't take it. So you may have to tweak them a little bit, but they usually have instructions there on how to do that. You just have to read a little bit. And like I was telling you earlier, I don't go with these rankings. If it'll spit out lineups based on my rankings. I don't take that first one. Sometimes I do, but just like this last week, if they give me 3 off the same team, that's not good. I don't take 3 off the same team, unless it's just, maybe the Saints this week. I don't know. I got to look at it and see. But stacking is good, but giving you 3 people off the same team is not. So be careful with that. I hate to say it's not because it could work, but anyway, don't take these just for it's the Bible. Kind of you got to get it, tweak it a little bit. I've ranked a lot of players. I mean, I have just about every player you can put in the league that could possibly score a point. I have in these rankings, so you can really work with them and play with it and do what you want. And please go to my website. It is fantasyfootballrankingzone.com, and download those rankings, and good luck to you. Hopefully you'll have a good week this week in fantasy football, and hopefully I will too. I tell you, I didn't do as great as I wanted to. I had some guys get some injuries that hurt me, but I did okay. But anyway, Good luck to you, and I will see you. Hopefully, I'll update this again Saturday. I did this for 30